Welcome, everybody. It's Tuesday, November 28th. John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report, coming to you live from Chicago. Actually, trying to figure out if I want to move my... That's not bad, actually. Anyway, welcome, folks. We're going to talk about Israel and Ukraine, our usual today. There you go. Not too much news. It's actually kind of a light news day, I would say. Let me get TikTok rolling here first on my iPad. Introduce yourselves, as always. Hang on here. Boom, boom, boom. TikTok is flying. Anyway, hello all. Hey, Amanda. Hey, guys. How's it hopping? Whew. I've not bought any Christmas gifts yet. I need to start hunting here, it would seem. But we will see. Ooh, what is going on? What is it? Oh, seasonal savings. I hate that. All right, sorry. My Nest thermostat is giving me updates on how it can save me money by setting the wrong temperature all the time. No, thank you. Anyway. So, yeah, how are we all doing today? It's freezing in Chicago. No more snow. I mean, we have snow on the ground, which is nice, but absolutely frigid. Thank you, Crazy American, for the gifts. We just start. It's here, Ari Melber. Ari's a friend, so I'd hate to say bomb Ari. Not bomb. We wouldn't want to bomb Ari. We wouldn't want to leave Ari. I knew Ari when Ari was just Ari, but good, very good guy. He's good, smart guy, good guy, very good at TV. He's a MSNBC host, but good guy. I remember when he decided to go to law school because he wanted to do this kind of stuff, and boy, he did well. So. Leave Ari on side. I can be the volume for Ari. My birthday was nice. Thank you, guys. My birthday was yesterday. Nothing too fancy, but it was fun. I mean, stayed at home. It was cold. Thank you, Mark Starr, for the gift. Anyway, we'll wait another half minute or minute for a few more folks to come on, and then we'll get rolling here. Just like to kind of get a critical mass before we roll. St. George's Hospital in London. Oh, you're in the hospital? I hope you're not like in the hospital. Rather than working in the hospital, perhaps. We say the in America, by the way, in case you noticed. Thank you, Callum. Or not thank. I'm thinking Callum. I don't know why I'm thinking Callum. Thank you, Big Shot You, for following me. Thank you, Callum, just for being you. Oh, my. All right, guys, we can get rolling here. Thank you, Shane, for the gift. So welcome, everybody. I am John Aravosis. This is my nightly show, Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, U.S., and we cover the latest news from the war in Ukraine. And lately, we've also been covering the latest news from Israel and Gaza because it's another big conflict and I want to cover it. So there you go. The way the show works, I will basically go over the news that I think is important first. I kind of try to just summarize the news in a way that makes sense. Recovering from surgery. Okay, hope you're doing okay. Covering the news I think is relevant, and then taking your guys' questions as a means of supporting my work. Thank you, Dinan. I do take super chat questions from YouTube first. Thank you, Nick Pereira. And with the super chat questions, I will always answer those first as the next thing we talk about. Thank you, Chief, and do a shout out. Super stickers, do a shout out. TikTok gifts, all the gifts that, I don't know what the difference is, but the gifts that fly on the screen like that, I will always do a shout out for those as well. Thank you, Nick. Assuming I see them. Sometimes, very rarely, I miss them. Thank you, Danan. Actually, mods, if you ever see a gift fly up like one of the big ones and I miss it, feel free to give me a little note on the screen to let me know. Thank you, Nick and McFadge, and who gave it so I can give a quick thanks. And thank you, Joe. Like I said, I try to thank everybody. It's not always possible. Thank you, Big Hawk. That's about it. I'm tired today. I'm not tired. I'm like fatigued today. The dog had me up last night. Ugh. We share. Thank you, Joe. We share a little, what do you call them? Twin beds? Those little beds we had when we were kids. And she's a bed hog. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I was going to call you a lizard. Thank you, swan person. And she just hogs the bed. In the middle of the night, she kept changing positions and finally wanted to come like right up next to me, which is cute, but you're kind of like this in bed going, now what do I do? Thanks, Marcy. Anyway, so she slept well. I did not sleep so well. But what do you do? Anyway, but thanks, guys. I appreciate it. All right, let's get rolling here. So let's start with Ukraine, and then we'll switch over to Israel. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the gift. And we'll do it that way. And do remember to follow me on TikTok and YouTube, too. I always forget to sort of put that out there, but always nice for you to follow. All right, so it is day 640 of Putin's 3-day special military operation. Thank you, Alex, for the hearts. I think the big story today out of Ukraine is that the wife of Ukraine's military intelligence head, Budanov, was poisoned, they believe. Thank you, Laurie. Obviously, all signs would point to Russia, not just because Russia's the one with the greatest incentive to poison him or go after his wife, but also it's what Russia does. They have a long history of poisoning people. It's just it's their their brand that they do. Her name is what is her name? I got you. I hate when news stories do this. Thank you for the M. Fuller. When they give you they don't give you her name. Okay, I don't have her first name. She's Mrs. Budanova. Mariana, is it Mariana? Okay, I always hate that, like referring to wives and not giving their names. You know what I mean? All right, I'm going to go with Mariana. They believe metal poison Rainbow Rain. That's what I read. Yes, I don't know if I have it in my notes here, but I don't have it in my notes here. I read, though, metal poison. Yes. Thank you, Ellie. Media outlets in the country reported she may have been targeted via her food. She went to the hospital. Supposedly, she's now either still in the hospital or recouping at home. But apparently, she's okay, which is good. He himself, Budanov, who's 37 years old, has been targeted several times by the Russians, including a botched car bombing, actually. And what else here? Yeah, so there you go. Second story I wanted to mention briefly is Stoltenberg, who's the Secretary General of NATO. Thank you, Carol. Mentioned today, and he mentioned this as basically this is a good thing that Europe and who did he say? Europe and Canada provide half of the military support that Ukraine is getting. What worries me about that is that means America is providing the other half. And that worried me when I heard that. Like, he's trying to say, this is good, we're providing like half of it. But that's only half of it. If half of it is coming from one source, that's a really high risk, especially a source like America, where lately, thank you, John, who the hell knows if we can be relied on because of the Republicans taking over the House, the MAGA Republicans. And I will also say if Donald Trump becomes president, thank you, Sam, you can't count on anything. You certainly can't count on any treaty obligations. Thank you, Metalmore. You can't count on literally anything, including he's also said he's not going to help Ukraine anyway. Thank you, Elizabeth. So it's unfortunate. It's really something that I never considered prior to Trump, the fact that you literally couldn't trust my country. But what I mean by trust, meaning you can't trust our word, that if we say we're going to stick by you, it no longer means anything anymore. It means something if there's a Democratic president. If there's a Republican president, depends who. Totally depends who now, and that's insane. Any case, thank you, Critter. More stories. Deep, 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 deep. Where was this? This is from the British Ministry of Defense. I wanted to make sure the source here. So Britain's Ministry of Defense does updates on their Twitter feed that's actually very useful about what's going on in Ukraine. And let me just read this to you. It's about Avdiivka. So Avdiivka, little map. Avdiivka is the town we've been talking about. Look, my shirt is coming down. Uh-oh. I've got this is a nice little t-shirt map we've got of Ukraine that I like. So the arm is waving, but that's okay. This is sort of our little tradition that we use a t-shirt as a map of Ukraine, but it's a good t-shirt. It's got a good little map. Avdiivka is northwest of Donetsk. All of this area is occupied by Russia. Donetsk is occupied by Russia. The little town northwest of Avdiivka is not. The Russians have been trying to take that town. They've been throwing a lot of men and a lot of weapons. So British Ministry of Defense updates and says, in recent days, Russian forces have made further small advances on the northern axis of a pincer movement, so coming in like this, as part of their attempt to surround the Donbas town of Avdiivka. Since the start of October 2023, Russian forces have moved the front line forwards up to 2 kilometers in this area. Now, that means the Russians have moved about 1.2, 1.3 miles. Like, that's it. Is my mic? Sorry, somebody says my mic is sounding far on TikTok. The mic is right here. The mic's fine for the rest of you. Well, here, this is how we can test. This is the mic. This is the mic. This is the mic. So that way you can tell if the mic is far away. Okay, mic is good. Thank you. So the Russians have moved 2 kilometers in the last 2 to 3 months, maybe 2 months. 2 kilometers is like 1.2, 1.3 miles. That's not very far. What is funny about this, actually, he says, the British Ministry of Defense, although modest, this advance likely represents one of the greatest Russian gains since the spring of 2023. Now, that's kind of a backhanded compliment because, yes, it is some of the best success the Russians have had in a long time, moving a little over a mile in months. So it's not great. Also, they note it has cost units involved thousands of casualties. So thousands of men have been injured and killed as a result on the Russian side for this. This operation is gradually bringing Russian troops closer to the Avdiivka coke and chemical plant, where Ukrainian forces maintain one of their main defensive positions. Or do I have more here? Oh, yeah. Although Avdiivka has become a salient or bulge in the Ukrainian front line, Ukraine remains in control of a corridor of territory approximately 7 kilometers wide. 7 kilometers being 5 miles, let's say 5 miles or so. Poll of Russians and where they are in the war. And this sort of goes to that whole point of people like to say, we shouldn't blame the Russian people. They're good people. Not so much. 75% of Russians support the war. An overwhelming majority of Russians continue to support the war, either strongly or moderately, 75%. Thank you, Ellie, for the gift, with only around 20% being actively opposed. This is a report from Carnegie Moscow Center citing polling from Russia's independent pollster Levada. Thank you, B. Smith. Levada is the pollster I've told you guys about before. They seem to be like the main pollster that people trust. And they did apparently an in-person polling, I believe. They picked however many thousands of Russians and went to visit them in person. They said, in addition to 75% of Russians supporting the war, listen to this, there is also a significant feeling shared by those polled that Russia's losses have been too high for the country to give up now. So the thinking is among Russians today, the public, that so many have died and been injured. Basically, too many have died and been injured. Thank you, adventurers. And therefore, they can't stop fighting because they've lost so many men. They've got to win this, which is cute, but really screwed up. I mean, it's normal countries would lose a lot of men and say, you know what? Maybe this isn't worth it. Thank you, Courtney. Russians say, it's sort of like the Vegas thing or something, right? Russians say, I've lost $10,000 at the craps table. Let's spend $20,000. It's screwed up. It's very screwed up. Finland is going to close the entire border with Russia for 2 weeks. This is because of the Russians basically have been sending migrants, people who have illegally crossed into Russia, and they're sending them into Finland, basically. It's something, they're from Yemen, they're from Syria, and somewhere else. This is what the Russians do. They've done this before with other Eastern European countries, and basically, they're human bombs in essence. They try to use migrants to overwhelm the other country because they know that a lot of sort of thank you, Arifa, a lot of refugees or whatever crossing the border is going to cause a lot of domestic strife, and that's what they're trying to do. So the Finns have had enough of it, and they said, fine, we're closing the border with you. And keep in mind, Finland has got a huge, is it 800 miles or something? Remind me, I know we've got some Finns that join us, people in the area as well. I think it's like 800 miles or something crazy is the border of Finland with Russia. It's like half of NATO's border with Russia is now Finland. But it's a huge amount. So there are something like 7 or 8 border crossings they're going to be cutting off, which is 1,300 kilometers. So that would give you around 800, 900 miles probably. Yeah, that's about right. Okay. I thought that was about the right amount. A little more here. Iran has finalized arrangements for the delivery of Russian Su-35 fighter jets and Mi-28 attack helicopters. Not good. Russia's oil trade with India. This was good news. One of its most important buyers faces a major obstacle due to payments in currency other than the US dollar. This is from Reuters. A lack of a viable alternative to the dollar remains a serious problem for Russia, affecting its oil trade with buyers in Africa, China, and Turkey, according to Reuters. This is something that I'd mentioned months ago that they were writing about, which basically is India has been happy to buy tons of oil from Russia. But the Russians apparently at this point, or the Indians, thank you, Ernie, I believe the Indians owe the Russians like $1 billion. This was either oil or weapons, and I'm not sure which. I thought it was oil, but it might be weapons. But they owed them like $1 billion, but they couldn't pay them. There was no way to pay them because of the dollar sanctions and all of that. So this is really good because oil is obviously one of the key ways Russia makes money. And the sanctions and everything are causing a problem, which is good. And finally, this is the last story on Ukraine. As I said, there's not a lot of story on Ukraine or Israel tonight. Not a lot of news, but pro-Kremlin circles are sharing a fake video claiming to be the BBC. And it's this cute little video. It's got the BBC logo in the corner, total fake. And it says on it that Ukraine is supplying Ukraine is supplying the majority of weapons to Hamas, it says, and it's total fake video. It's obviously KGB produced, or what is it? FSB produced, the Russian secret police, the spy agency. It claims to not just be a BBC video, but it also claims to quote Bellingcat as the source, which is a major independent news organ or investigative organ that the Russians hate. Have put out contracts on the head of the organization, and so the Russians are now trying to steal basically Bellingcat's name for this. It's just typical. All right, other beep 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 beep. I'll do a quick pitch and then we'll do Israel. Okay, we'll do Israel. So as always, keep the gifts coming, guys. I appreciate it. Please keep the super chat questions on YouTube. I will always, as I said, respond to those questions first. Other questions I will get to at the end of the show when I'm done with the news. Otherwise, super chat question I will always get to immediately. And gifts on TikTok, same thing. Please keep them coming, guys. The gifts are how I support myself. The gifts, subscriptions. You can do subscriptions on TikTok, subscriptions on YouTube. Thank you, Napoleon. Appreciate that and love my. I've also got the auctions, which I'll show you at the end of the show. Thank you. Who's that? Far? I'm going to call you Far or Farge. Maybe Farge? I'll call you Farge. Thank you, love my, for the gifts because I've been doing this full time. I've been doing it full time since the war broke out in Ukraine almost 2 years ago now. And your gifts help pay my bills and make it possible for me to do this. So please do keep them coming. They actually help a lot. All right, let's talk about Israel and Gaza. Today is the 5th day of the pause. And remember, they had we call it a ceasefire, but a 5-day ceasefire. Thank you, Florian. Every day, the Israelis were going to release something like, I shouldn't say every day. Over 5 days, over 4 or 5 days, they were going to release 150 Palestinians from prison, and the Palestinians would release 50 Israeli hostages. That was the deal. Thank you, Elizabeth. So far, the deal's been working. More hostages and prisoners were released today, which is good. There's a 2-day extension in place as well. Remember, part of the deal was that if Hamas is willing to release 10 more, every 10 hostages Hamas releases, Israel will release another 30 prisoners and extend the ceasefire 1 day. So it's been extended 2 more days. In the meantime, Qatar is saying that they're trying to negotiate a longer ceasefire, maybe even a permanent one. I can't imagine the Israelis would agree to a permanent ceasefire unless it takes Hamas out of power, because they've got to eliminate Hamas at this point after the attack Hamas did on Israel. But nonetheless, they're trying to do a longer ceasefire if possible. What else we got here? The latest round of hostages released do not include Americans. There were another 30 Palestinian prisoners released today. Hamas released 12 hostages, 10 Israelis, and 2 Thai nationals from Thailand. Hamas is still holding, by the way, this one really annoyed me. Hamas is still holding the 10-month-old baby. The baby's name is Kafir Bibas. 10-month-old baby they're holding hostage. So they're still doing it. They're playing games with this, guys. They're trying to basically milk the hostages. I mean, I'm not surprised, but they're trying to milk the hostages for as much as they can. And they know a baby is worth a lot. And I think they're doing it, whether it's to stop Israel from, going back to war with them or whatever it is. But they're using a 10-month-old baby. That's just sick. I mean, that's absolutely sick. A little bit more here. Oh, you're so cute, Angel. Angel got his wings. Angel got his wings. Angel got his wings because I speak Spanish. La, 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 la. Goodbye. Hold on. Got to do a mute. Quick mute. Quick mute. 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 Trolls get muted. Anyway, more news. 12-year-old Eitan Yahalomi is one of the Israeli hostages that was released. His aunt spoke on his behalf and said he He said that every time he was in captivity, obviously these 50 days or 51 days, whatever it was, that Hamas had kidnapped him. Thank you, Western. He's an Israeli child, 12 years old, said that every time a child cried while in captivity, Hamas threatened them with a weapon to shut them up. Lovely. Also, he said that he was beaten upon arriving in Gaza. Again, a 12-year-old child. As I mentioned, there's talk of a longer ceasefire. Biden administration, this was interesting. Biden administration is being a little more critical of Israel, or kind of putting out, okay, let me put it this way. They're saying things publicly. They're saying it anonymously publicly, but they're saying things publicly. What is interesting about this is when you say things publicly, it usually means a couple different things. One, it means the other guy isn't really listening to you, so you're going to go public and be a little more embarrassing. Typically, with friends in politics, you do it privately. You wouldn't go public and criticize another country who's an ally unless they're not listening to you and it's important and you're trying to put pressure. So this is the Biden administration kind of trying to up the pressure on Israel a little bit, is what's going on here. Listen to this. U.S. officials have urged Israel to be more precise and surgical in its targeting of Hamas in Gaza to limit further civilian casualties in the Strip. They have also told Israeli counterparts that they do not support operations in southern Gaza, given that many Palestinian civilians have had to flee there from the north. The quote from the U.S. official, thank you, Becca, is, "We don't support them moving in the south unless or until they can demonstrate a plan that accounts for the additional civilian life that is now in the south." What is interesting about this is the whole plan. I mean, this isn't like a, thank you, Becca, this isn't like a surprise, I think. Sort of, we all kind of know what Israel's plan is here. Israel's plan is to go through the north of Gaza, rout out Hamas, kill them, arrest them, whatever they're going to do to them, but get them out of there, take away their weapons, and take away their power, basically, okay? What is interesting about this is Israel's plan next, after the ceasefire is over, is to then move south, because there's still Hamas in the south they've bombed a little, but they haven't really cleaned out the south like they did the north by taking the troops in and just going house by house, block by block, right? Well, the U.S. is saying, we don't want you to, now, okay, anonymous official, right? It's a little more official if somebody puts their name to it, but still an anonymous U.S. official saying that we don't want them moving into the south. Thank you, Martin. And we don't want them doing it until they can give us a plan to accommodate the fact that there's so many civilians in the south now. Because keep in mind, Israel asked Palestinians from the north to move south. So a population of 2.3 million, I don't know how many, but I don't know how many have moved south. It's a ton. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 750,000, something like that, right? So huge number have moved into the south. It's a very small area to start with, so you've got a very high density of people there. Thank you, Pam. It's just very interesting, because the next step obviously would be for Israel, when the war starts again, to move into the finish with the north and then move into the south. The fact that the U.S. is saying don't do it unless you have a plan to basically not hit the civilians. The final thing was, I read a different article somewhere else that gave one more quote from the U.S. official that said, basically, we don't want them moving people out of the south. So the idea was, we don't want them to tell people in the south, okay, now south people, you've got to move north. So this is going to be very interesting to see. The final sort of caveat I'll put, though, as I said, the fact that it was when I say anonymous official, I mean someone is talking to the media, and the media knows who they are and trusts them, but says, you can't use my name. Because of that, it makes it a little less official than if Biden or the Secretary of State or the Deputy Secretary of State, somebody with a name on it, which means it was sanctioned. Without the name, you have to wonder whether it's somebody freelancing or somebody who Biden said, yes, talk to the media. So that's the remaining caveat I would throw out there. This was really kind of disgusting. Pro-Palestinian protesters protested outside the funeral today of former American First Lady Rosalind Carter. Rosalind Carter was the wife of Jimmy Carter, our president, back in, what would it be, 1976 to 80 or 77 to 81, I guess I should say, the way it works. And they showed up and they yelled and screamed because Biden was there. I'm going to show you the clip really quick. This pisses me off. I mean, this really pisses me off for a number of reasons. One, protesting the funeral of First Lady Rosalind Carter. Her husband was he's still alive, Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter brokered peace between Israel and Egypt. He did the peace treaty between Anwar Sadat, the president of Egypt, and Menachem Begin, the prime minister of Israel. This was huge. This was earth-shattering. Thank you, Marie. This was the first and most important step towards peace that anybody had done since the establishment of Israel and the war breaking out in 1948, okay? You cannot understate what Jimmy Carter did. And especially, and my point here, though, is Jimmy Carter is the best friend the Palestinians ever had in America and one of the best friends they ever had in the world, okay? And these folks are protesting the funeral of his wife. You don't freaking do that in America. I don't know if this kind of stuff is cool in the Middle East. In America or in Europe, I don't know. In America, you don't freaking do this. You do not freaking do this. You know who does it in America? And the other sick thing, which is what bothers me about this. And this is where I say that the Palestinian activists or pro-Palestinian activists have been very smart in a lot of their protests because they've gotten a lot of attention, and the Israeli side has not done very well, I think, on public relations. On this one, they screwed up because, in America who protest funerals, the only people in America who protest funerals. And as soon as these guys did this today, everybody thought of it, Fred Phelps and the Westboro Baptist Church. You know who? Now, you Europeans may not know who they are. A lot of Americans do. The Westboro Baptist Church is this crazy far-right, religious right church in Kansas. And they protest funerals. Well, they started out by protesting the funerals of people with AIDS. They didn't like that they were gay and they didn't like that they had AIDS, so they would go and protest their funerals. Thank you, Succeed. They would hold signs that I probably can't say what the sign said. You can Google them, Westboro, B-O-R-O, Baptist Church, or Fred Phelps, P-H-E-L-P-S. The signs are Google images. The signs are horrific. The signs say, the most famous sign that these guys hold up says, God hates, and then it's F-G-S. I don't want to say it because I don't want to get into trouble for TikTok and YouTube, right? But God hates F blank G-S. You can guess what it says. It's not figs. It's not fogs, okay? This is the most famous sign these guys hold. They are literally the only people in America who protest funerals are these crazy, crazy, crazy far-right anti-gay bigots. For pro-Palestinian I'm just going to show you the video really quick because it just, it's disgusting, guys. You don't do this, and you don't do it to freaking Rosalind Carter of all people. At least they didn't get inside the funeral because that's what they've been doing everywhere else, I'll show you guys really quick. As I said, at least they didn't. Oh, actually, I forgot for you guys, I've got it there. Put the light down a little so you can see. And you can hear the. They're screaming because President Biden went with the First Lady to the funeral of Mrs. Carter. They're screaming, Biden, Biden, you can't hide. We charge you with genocide. Americans don't do this. I just, whatever. These people have to really watch it because this shit we don't do in America. And this is the kind of crap. As I said, I don't know about European. Actually, I'm kind of curious. For Europeans, is this as outrageous as it is to an American? Or in Europe, would you go, it's a protest, big deal? You know what I mean? Like, is it not as, because I realize we're different here. We have sort of more sensitivities on things like that. But just curious for the Europeans. Canada, but you may have more of our sensitivities on that kind of stuff too. It would be outrageous in Europe too. I'm curious because I wasn't sure, like, if in Europe you'd go, yeah, that kind of stuff. In London, it's standard. Get out. People protest funerals in London. Get out. Or no. Okay, but you guys would still consider it outrageous. Okay. Yeah, my God. It's just in any case. Really America. Really America. Really just, I just, like, it's, They need to watch it because they've had the upper hand. This is the kind of crap that's going to make people think you're a bunch of crazy people. And again, I've told you guys this before. You all, I don't think, are a bunch of crazy people. The folks that are doing the protests, they're the socialists, Democratic Socialists of America are behind the protests. And again, for Europeans who don't know, Democratic Socialists of America are Looney Tunes. They're like the old socialists of Europe, the ones who were pro-Russian or pro-Soviet. That's who DSA is. DSA put out flyers for protests on support of the Palestinians, which is their right here in America, right? No, I have no problem with that. Meaning, it's a free country, as we say. The posters they put out calling for people to protest on behalf of the Palestinians, they put pictures of men on hang gliders because the Palestinians used hang gliders to go and slaughter everybody at the music festival in Israel, in southern Israel. Remember the music festival where people were from all over the world? That's what DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, is. They used literally that image to promote their protest because they thought it was funny that the Palestinians slaughtered everybody at the music festival. And the other people are the other people is who's the other one? I'm forgetting who the other one is. It's DSA. It's that Jewish group, the one not in my name, and there's somebody else too. It's any case. All right, you're gonna not really. No, you're not gonna contact me this way because I'm gonna block you. I love this. Sorry, somebody's trying to spam me on Facebook. I'm sorry to contact you this way. But, and of course, there's an illness needing millions of dollars. It's like, okay. Anyway, what do you do? All right, a little bit more here. Thank you, Hillel, for the gift there. U.S. humanitarian aid. The U.S. military will fly 3 plane loads of crucial humanitarian aid to North Sinai in Egypt to be brought into Gaza to aid civilians. According to administration officials, on Tuesday, it made its first flight, airlifting more than 54,000 pounds of medical items and foods to a logistics hub in Egypt. Hamas. Now, this one made me laugh. Elon Musk, you guys might remember that Elon is in, don't get that up there. Elon is in Egypt, and not Egypt, he's in Israel. And basically, Elon is trying to, what's the word here? Cleanse his record because Elon has been posting a lot of anti-Semitic stuff on Twitter lately. And he opened Twitter to NZs. I mean, NZISs, right? The bad people. So he brought a bunch of them back on Twitter who were banned under Twitter's old management. So Elon decided to go to Israel to try to make up for the fact that just a week ago, he endorsed an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, thank you, Alex, called the Great Replacement Theory. And it's a theory that Jews are trying to sneak dark people into America in order to pollute our blood and make us no longer white people. And they're going to make Americans darker. And of course, that's a bad thing because dark people are bad, according to this crazy theory. And of course, and my favorite part of this, though, my favorite part of this theory is literally it attacks everybody, right? Jews are supposedly behind it, but the Jews are bringing in evil dark people, which would be Muslims, right? Arabs, Latinos, Asians, not clear where they stand on Asians, but like literally it goes after sort of everybody. Blacks, of course, goes after everybody. Well, Elon got a lot of trouble for this. He also lost even more advertisers because of this. They lost a lot of advertisers a year ago when he let all the Nazis back, and they didn't come back. He's got some advertisers left, not that many on Twitter, on X. I don't call it X, it's Twitter. Well, now he does the anti-Semitic, actually anti-everybody, endorsing the theory, like I said, the Jews are bringing dark people into America. More advertisers leave as a result of that because they're outraged. Well, today Elon tweets about Pizzagate. You guys know Pizzagate? Some of you are going to know Pizzagate. Pizzagate is a crazy, and Elon endorsed it, of course, because Elon being Elon. Let me see if I can find the tweet. Pizzagate is a crazy conspiracy theory that started, it was actually the origin conspiracy theory, from what I've read, for QAnon. The Pizzagate came first, and it was one of the sort of the precursor of QAnon. It claimed that Democratic Party leaders were running a secret pedophile ring. And Hillary Clinton, of course, was in charge of it, of course, because, they hate Hillary because she's a woman. You got to go after, if you're not going after a Jew, go after a woman. And if you can go after going after black women's even better for these guys, but white woman because she's Hillary. So Hillary is running a secret pedophile ring, according to this crazy Pizzagate theory. And my favorite point, though, she's running it out of the basement of a Washington, D.C. pizza parlor, a pizza restaurant. Now, it's called Comet Ping Pong. It's a very famous pizza restaurant in DC. We all love it. It's a really neat place. And the theory, though, was, like I said, Hillary Clinton is running a pedophile ring out of the basement of a pizza restaurant that we all know and love. And what happens as a result? This lunatic from North Carolina a few years ago believes it. Some young guy, of course, believes it because, by the way, this was repeated by Alex Jones, InfoWars. It was repeated by Michael Flynn, Trump's national security advisor. I mean, crazy people, like big people. Jack Posobiec, Mike Cernovich, all the top voices on the MAGA right were repeating this. The guy picks up his gun, his rifle, goes to Washington, D.C., storms into the pizza. You can Google this. It's crazy. Storms into the pizza parlor and fires his gun and takes everybody hostage in the pizza parlor and demands to be let into the basement so he can free the children. Now, the pizza parlor, like much of Washington, has no basement. And it took them like an hour or something to convince this guy. They got the police and everything, and they basically had to show him and convince him that there was no basement. And finally, he gave himself up. This is the theory that Elon Musk promoted today, guys. I'm going to pull this up because I want to show you, because this is the kind of thing where I don't want to just be the one saying it. Hang on. My nephew was visiting, so I have lots of cute pictures of my nephew today I've got to go through first here. Okay, where's Crazy Elon? Come on, Crazy Elon. Hold on. It's here because I did a video on it earlier. Wait, where was it? I did it before these guys came. Hang on. Here it is. Okay. Elon puts out this tweet. I'll show you guys at the top. Does seem a little suspicious? Okay, he writes at the top just to show you. Elon Musk does seem a little suspicious, and the tweet says Pizzagate is real, and the woman says, "No, it isn't. We have experts," right? Because the experts said no. He goes, "They've trafficked in children. The experts, but we have experts. Your expert just went to jail for child porn." Elon's next tweet shows that some investigator for ABC News, which is a big American news outlet, got arrested for child porn or something like that. Elon, again, the lunacy of this guy. Thank you, James. Elon is saying in one tweet that oh, you claim Pizzagate isn't real because the media experts say so. Well, did you know that a media expert just got picked up for pedophilia? And then in his second tweet, which I didn't show you, he tweets the story of the ABC reporter getting arrested. So he's saying because one reporter at one TV network got arrested for seemingly creepy stuff like this, it means the story that Hillary Clinton is running a worldwide pedophile ring out of a pizza parlor is correct. And it's the story that led to QAnon. It's the story that led to a guy going in and shooting his rifle in a pizza restaurant and holding everybody hostage. And this is Elon. As a result of this today, the Washington Post stopped advertising on Twitter, by the way. That stopped today, too. The Post finally pulled their ads and said, we're pausing because of this. I think there's something wrong with him. I think there's something seriously wrong with him. I don't know what it is. The guy, and this BS about him being autistic or whatever the hell it is, give me a break. This guy isn't autistic. This guy's fucked up. I mean, there's something seriously wrong with him. So just to add to this, so he goes to Israel to try to show he's not an anti-Semite anymore. Since last week he was. And this is my favorite. Hamas has invited Elon to visit Gaza to inspect the scale of destruction caused by Israel. Now, he's an idiot if he goes. One hopes that Elon, not hopes, because I couldn't care less what happens to Elon. One assumes that Elon isn't such an idiot that he would go into Gaza. Because I would think a guy worth $100 billion or $200 billion might be a good kidnapping target. I assume he's not going. It just made me chuckle that Hamas said, "Elon, come." Is Elon anti-Semitic? Let's put it this way. Elon promotes anti-Semitism. Elon claims he believes anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, and he promotes anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, whether that means he's an anti-Semite or whether it means Elon thinks it's to his advantage to bash Jews. I don't know which it is. And I'm quite serious. Maybe he's just an opportunist and thinks, let's keep bashing Jews because this is helpful. I don't know. Or he literally is a bigot in his head and a lunatic. there's something wrong with the guy either way. There's something really wrong with the guy. So anyway, the newest paid TikTok by the DNC. I wish. I'm not paid by anybody, and actually, I don't get paid enough. So if I always like to take advantage of trolls like that. I assume you're trolling me. If folks want to give gifts, please do, because nobody does pay me. I get the gifts from you guys. That's what pays my my way. I use your guys' gifts to basically pay my bills, and it allows me to keep doing the show. That's why I've been doing it for the last 2 years now. So please do keep supporting me. You can do gifts on here. If you don't want to do gifts or don't know how to do it, or you guys, you can always use PayPal in other ways. Thank you, Marcy and Jetta. You can find my PayPal. You guys can find it at aravosis.com. I mean, you guys can too. Or you can find my PayPal by going to my profile on TikTok. Look for the Linktree link, click it. And the well, not the first thing, but there's a whole list of different things you guys can check out. My PayPal. You can become TikTok subscribers, YouTube subscribers. My favorite gift? Oh, I don't know. I don't want to say that, because only the gifts have various prices. So like, I don't want to say favorites, because I don't necessarily want to say, oh, something really expensive. You know what I mean? I will tell you, the one I always liked, which wasn't too expensive, but they don't have anymore. There was a Harry Potter sorting hat, it was a witch's hat, but it was clearly a Harry Potter sorting hat. And I loved that thing. And they no longer have it. And it's just wonderful. Andrew Tate, is there news today about Andrew Tate? Somebody wrote Andrew Tate went to jail. Oh, thank you, Dawn. Oh, that's a cool one. Thank you for that. Skeleton evolution. Was there a news story about Andrew Tate today or not? I think somebody asked what I want to work for a big news channel as a reporter. I think it would be fun. The problem is I've done too much partisan work over the years that I don't think it would be possible. I've got too much of a track record, a public track record doing stuff, that it just, too many people on the other side of whatever issue wouldn't like it. I mean, I try to report the truth. I try not to lie. Thank you, Carl Vincent. Very generous of you. New YouTube member, or actually anyway, I know your name anyway. I don't know if you're a recurring member or if you're just a nice guy, because I recognize your name. So thank you. But yeah, I do try to tell the truth, but everyone has biases. I've done a lot of advocacy work. Thank you, Charles. And I've written also a lot of I don't want to say partisan, but I've done opinion writing. And for journalists, you get into trouble when you do opinion writing, because a journalist, you don't want people to be able to say, aha, he's writing about an issue where previously he wrote publicly and we know he's biased. Now, let me say this, though. Like somebody said, I'm pro-Israel. Here's the problem. And I don't want to get into too much of a discussion of journalistic ethics, but I think it's interesting. People get people fired because they find out things they've written, tweets they've written, or whatever, right? What's funny about it is, for me, that even if you don't write tweets publicly, or even if I don't do shows that people say, oh, you're pro-Israel, or you're pro-gay, or whatever the hell it is, right? Or anti-Russian, whatever. Just because I don't write about it doesn't mean I don't feel it. You've got lots of journalists who are pro-Palestinian or pro-Israel. But if they haven't written it publicly, then you simply don't know what their bias is. And the irony is, we punish people who go public with their bias, and we say, oh, you can't be a journalist, an objective journalist for a big network, because you've stated publicly that you side with Israel, or you stated publicly that you side with Palestine, right, with Palestinians. But if you don't say it publicly but still think it, it's okay. In other words, once we know your bias, we aren't going to let you have the job. But if you keep the bias hidden, the public won't know, so you can still have the job. It's kind of almost the reverse of what you want. Like in a way, I'd like to know the biases of reporters, because then you can kind of take it into account. But it's just something I always thought was kind of funny. That is correct. What Deb says, reporters are taught we all have a bias. Point is to ignore it. And that's actually very true. I mean, I wrote for The Economist for a while as a stringer, so a freelancer. And I certainly had my biases, but I simply tried to write honest, real, objective stories. And I had editors who would make sure I did. And that's just what you try to do. But it's interesting. It is an interesting question. The Anthony Bourdain of politics. It's funny. I don't see the connection, but people have, once my hair went white or went whiter, people kept saying I looked like Anthony Bourdain, which I find really funny. Because also he's like cooler than I am. No tattoos. Anthony Bourdain is like way cooler than I am. I think that's it for the news. Yeah, that's it for the news. Let me show you a couple of the TikTok, a couple of the auction items. we've got for the auction tomorrow. Our auctions end Wednesdays. Actually, I think I told you guys, I'm going to Arizona in 2 weeks. And I realized I've got to figure out what I'm doing with the auctions, because the auction ending tomorrow and the auction ending next week might be the last two prior to Christmas in terms of getting stuff for Christmas, is my fear. So these next two, if you're in America, if you're in Europe, I don't know. It takes 2 weeks to get to Europe. Not worrying about Christmas. I can't tell you for Christmas. In America, it takes a few days, and things are still arriving in 2 to 3 days. Anyway, a couple different things. I always show you guys, as I almost break, Jesus, as I drop and almost break the ornament. Okay, it's still in one piece. Good. Hand-painted Christmas ornaments from Ukraine that apparently don't break when you drop them, which is good. But they're very pretty. The actually brown one has a bird painted. There we go. Kind of a bird painted on it. I think it's some kind of I always forget. I think it's a cuckoo, actually. It looks like a peacock, but it's not. These are very cool. The favorite that everybody likes. These are all cool things from Ukraine I get, and half the money I send back to Ukraine, half the money I use to support my work. These are neat because they're shell casings, 30 millimeter. We think they're probably from a machine gun that goes on a vehicle. BMP, like an armored personnel carrier kind of thing. But these are neat because the Ukrainians took them and made trench art, it's called, out of them, where they put the Ukrainian trident, right, and an angel, which I think is just the coolest thing, And what's neat about it is a 30 millimeter, yep. What's neat about it, too, is one of you guys had mentioned a while back that these could probably be used as a candle holder, which would be really neat because it's metal, right? And you put a candle in it, it'd be like you put a candle this high, it'd be really cool. So these are doing, you need 9 for a menorah. That would actually be that's actually very funny. And it is, what is it? It's Hanukkah, I'm guessing. What's coming in something's coming very soon. I don't know if it's Hanukkah or what it is, in 2 weeks. In any case, yes. So you can make a menorah out of it. This is also, what's interesting is this is a Russian shell from Bakhmut, which is kind of cool too. A couple more things. Actually, the other big thing I'll show you, I didn't show you, this is the last time I'll show you this one. This is the last one we've got. It would probably it might hold a tea light. It might be a little too skinny for a tea light. My guess is it would hold a candle better. Like I could see a candle up to here or something that wouldn't be able to fall out. And because it's metal, it's safe. Well, I'm assuming it's safe. I don't want, who knows. So this is very cool. This is the last one of these that we've got. This is a gift we received from, oops, get rid of that thing. This is a gift we received from a children's hospice in Ukraine that we were helping raise money for, to get things for the kids, toys and coloring, pencils and paper. And they sent us a number of these. Vlad gets one, I get one, and the rest we're auctioning. This is the last one I've got to auction. And it is a commemorative piece with a piece of a Russian helicopter shot down in the first 2 or 3 days of the war. Remember at the beginning of the war, the Russians came down from the north and tried to invade Kyiv. Just north of Kyiv, it was funny, I asked Vlad and Vlad wasn't sure. Just north of Kyiv, well, actually, tell me if we got Ukrainians tonight. I think there's Hostomel Airport, which is the big airport north of Kyiv. I think it's over here. Vlad thought it was over to the northeast. I think it's a little bit to the northwest, if we have any Ukrainians who can tell us. But Hostomel Airport, really important. The Ukrainians were able to hold off the attack. Had the Russians been able to take that airport, they would have been able to take Kyiv. I mean, it would have, instead of this taking almost 2 years, this would have taken a week or two possibly for the Russians to take over Ukraine. So this helicopter was shot down, Russian helicopter. The Ukrainians made a neat little case out of it with a magnet. You open the magnet, you put this on the back, and it contains the little piece of so it stands on a desk, which is very pretty. It contains the little piece of the helicopter. I'll take it out. And they took the helicopter piece. They've numbered each piece. This one's 80. Like each one has its own. Is the 80 on top? I can't even see. I think it is. Yeah, this one's 80 or 08, I should say. It's 08 or 80. And the front of it shows the helicopter, KA-52 Alligator, the type of helicopter. It says, what does it say? Target destroyed or something, and then gives the actual coordinates of it. See? Boop, 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 boop. And the other fun thing is, check this out. The other really fun thing is it's got a QR code. I just love that they spent so much time doing this well. This is also a map of Ukraine, obviously. check this out. So I'm going to go look at the QR code. Oop, there we go. Open. And beep, 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 beep. Opening very slowly. Of course, it's opening slowly because I'm trying to show you. Oh, turn off the sound, turn off the sound, turn off the sound. There we go. And it is showing you the video on YouTube of the helicopter being shot down. The same helicopter. How cool is that? I just think it's a wonderful little memento that they put together. It's very cool. In any case, we're auctioning this little baby off too. It's the last one we've got. Lots of other cool stuff. I won't go through everything else now. Well, actually, I'll show the last little thing. Cool. I like it because I just think this is very pretty. It's a refrigerator magnet in the shape of Ukraine, painted by this artist who's done a number of different pieces for us. She's the one who did the ornaments too, but it's the Petrikivka style, which is very pretty and a traditional Ukrainian style. But it's Ukraine. You can see Crimea here, Crimea. But it's very pretty and it's big, which is nice too. If you can see, it's a nice large magnet. Anyway, I'll stop showing stuff. But go check them out on my Discord, discord.aravosis.com. As I said, half the proceeds go to help me, half the proceeds go to help Ukraine. Okay. All right. Let's talk politics. So what do we got? We can talk, as always, Ukraine, Israel, Elon Musk, maybe something else going on. If I'm up on it, if I'm not, I'll tell you. Ooh, what do you think, folks? And please do. And make sure you follow me. Do the following and the like thing and all of that. I always forget to ask about that. Food. We've got pizza. We're getting good pizza tonight. Good Chicago pizza. I'm very excited. Always love my good Chicago pizza. George Santos. Not much new on him. They're still trying to kick him out. Nothing new. Navy ship targeted by the Houthis. Was there a new one though? We know that yesterday they attacked the Americans, but the two cruise missiles fell short. I don't know if there was any. I didn't hear about anything today. Well, here's the problem. Terry asked a good question. Terry Davis says, why are we not sending the ships transporting Iranian military hardware to the bottom of the sea? Couple problems. One, they are ships or planes coming from Russia to Iran. What if they're Russian ships, right? Or Russian planes? We can't attack them without going to war. Two, if they're Iranian, potentially we can. The problem becomes if they're planes, maybe. If they're ships, it gets a lot harder. This is a problem we've had overall with the Shahed drones because they're sending them, a lot of them, by boat across the Caspian Sea, apparently, and we don't have any good allies or anything on the Caspian Sea in order to attack. The other thing is, if we blow up Iranian ships or blow up Iranian planes, it kind of is an act of war against Iran. I have no problem with it morally, but, if you're worried about going to war with Iran, and it's just, we might be in an open war with Iran if we do it. But I agree with you. It would be nice if there were a secret way to take it out, but it would have to be Iranian shipping and not Russian. But, yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I think it comes with some risk as well. Cliff, hey Cliff, with the super chat question. What has happened to the rest of the Azov battalion? Were they executed by Russia? There are still a number of the Azov guys that are in Russia facing trial. Not executed yet, no. But I know they're still facing trial. There was news maybe, was it like a month ago or something? There was some kind of an update on it. I'm forgetting what it was. But I remember even looking at it and I was a little surprised. I was like, God, they're still there. We hadn't heard about them. I thought maybe they got out. The Azov battalion is the Ukrainian soldiers of a specific group that the Russians especially hate. And they're part of the reason they hate them is because they're the guys who they were 1,000 of the 2,000 Ukrainian troops who held Mariupol. Remember the Azov-style steel plant in Mariupol when Russia was invading and taking over the town? And for almost 2 months, they held this steel plant, 2,000 troops against 14,000 Russians. They made the Russians look like idiots. So that's those guys. Well, the Russians got them prisoners. Some of them were returned in a prisoner swap, and other ones the Russians are still holding and putting on trial because Russia's Russia. So, you could try a turnip if you wanted to. But haven't seen anything up other than about a month ago. Nobody's been executed yet. I have not watched 20 Days in Mariupol yet. It is supposed to be very good. I will say It's also supposed to be incredibly heavy, so I've kind of avoided it so far. Like I just kind of haven't really had the to watch it yet. It's supposed to be just incredibly. Oh, hey, AO. It's supposed to be just incredibly like horrible to watch. I mean, important to watch, but horrible to watch. Um, when John, did soldiers get to Mariupol to fight? They were in Mariupol during the initial invasion. So this was Russia taking over Mariupol, fighting through there, and there was a pocket of Azov. Is that what you're asking me? There was a pocket of Azov guys already there, and their last holdout was the steel plant. If that's what you mean. Yeah, right. The old saying, any decent DA could indict a ham sandwich, or it's something like that. It's also that any a grand jury that a grand jury would indict a ham sandwich. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, GCAT says it's gut wrenching. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I want to see it, but a number of folks I like and trust said, "Oh my God, it's hard to get through." Is it on YouTube, folks? Where do folks find it? Demon's asking. It's a good question. It's called 20 Days in Mariupol, I believe. And where do they find it? Just see what folks say here. YouTube. Okay, good. They can find it on YouTube. All right. Okay, that's good. So 20 Days in Mariupol. PBS. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know about that. Or maybe it's PBS Mariupol. Yeah, or PBS on YouTube. It's everywhere now? Okay, good, good. But yeah, I mean, I mean to watch it. I just kind of have to find the right time because I'm kind of like, oh, I know what I'm going to be getting, you know? But yeah, I'm going to watch it. I will watch it. What else we got, guys? The Russian architect building apartments in is saying they wouldn't have bombed if, I'm not sure, they wouldn't have bombed if what? Did the BBC do the documentary? I don't know. Did they? Mariupol, you're close, Alton, without the E. So Mariupol. 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 So exactly what you wrote without the E on the end. Yep. I'm guessing even if you put the E, it would come up okay, probably, you know, with Google or YouTube directly, you know. If there were no soldiers, I don't understand your question, Deb. You didn't give enough words. You need to give me more words of what he said to you. What else, guys? Oh, sorry. More on Ukraine. More on Israel. Frontline on PP. Oh, it's Frontline. Oh, that Frontline's very good. Ooh, I didn't realize it was Frontline. Wow. Frontline's really good. Hey, Oleg. Привет. Or is that a privyet or privit? Biden's statement, not sure. What statement when? Was there a recent statement that was new? Russian Federation would not have destroyed Mariupol if there were no soldiers. Well, what a stupid thing to say. What a stupid thing to say. I mean, yeah. I mean, I realize he's your friend or whatever, but you kind of want to say, well, yeah, and I'm sure you wouldn't have destroyed Ukraine if they had no soldiers and surrendered and said, come, destroy me, right? I mean, to me, that's just a disgusting thing to say. Yeah, we wouldn't have destroyed Mariupol if they didn't have soldiers there. You know, like, yeah. You know, well, they wouldn't have had to hit you to rob you if you didn't say no. Okay. You're right. My fault. No, that I hear, but that's disgusting. That's your response to him is really? So you're blaming them for the fact that you tried to wipe them out? That's why you killed them all? You killed them all because you tried to kill them and they didn't surrender when you tried to kill them. Okay, good. Good for you. Good for you. Anyway. No, that kind of stuff, typical Russian, to be honest. I mean, that's just like unfortunate, but from what the polls show, that's exactly how they think. You know, well, if you didn't try to stop our genocide, you wouldn't have been hurt. Of course, it was genocide, so we would have killed you anyway, but we would have killed you more nicely. Thank you, Frumple. Thank you, Amy. Right, we would have only kidnapped all your children. Well, that's nice. Okay, so what was the Biden? You said Biden said something. What did Biden say something about Israel and Gaza today? I don't know. Let me see. I don't think so, though. Let me see. I mentioned Biden didn't say this. The U.S. said it. That I did mention at the beginning of the show that or during the Israel segment that Biden said that not Biden, an unnamed American official said that the Israel should not move into southern Gaza unless they figure out a way to minimize civilian casualties. Basically, I don't know. Terry. I don't know enough about. I just don't know enough about that. You know what I mean? Or what they would do. Sorry, Terry was asking about, is it a good time for the CIA to ramp up operations in Georgia, Azerbaijan, and other provinces? I mean, or if you mean to take out like the Russian, Iranian shipments, maybe, but I don't think Biden would do it because Biden would be afraid of it being too escalatory, would be my guess, you know? Why do I like Netanyahu so much? You clearly don't watch the show. If you think I like Netanyahu, you clearly are new here. Yes, I do not like Netanyahu a lot. I was talking yesterday to the Israelis watching and said, "Oh, you're kidding." Okay. I thought I was going to say you must be new. Yeah. No, and I just think he's bad for Israel at this point. He takes away their credibility because nobody believes. I don't believe him. You know, whereas I would trust other Israeli prime ministers, whereas I wouldn't trust much more than I would trust him. Put it that way. Oh, it's me. Sorry. What else, guys? Everyone's kind of mellow tonight. I did see that lots of storm damage in Crimea. I don't know if it affected the Russian troops or not, or how it did. Thank you, Nicola. But I did see that, yeah, there were some big winter storms in Crimea. And Russia's occupying it, so one hopes perhaps that it affected their outfits. I know I'm yawning. My dog just had me up last night. Thank you, Irene. Well, you know what she did? A couple times, I gotta tell you, a couple times in the last couple of weeks, she's had to go out in the middle of the night. And it's, it happens sometimes with her. That's just the way she is. Thank you, Irene. And Luzma, thank you. And so she's woken me up a couple times at like 3 a.m. And of course, it's freezing out. And it's 3 a.m. So it's only been twice, but it's enough where now she scared me. So like she woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, no. And then she went back to sleep. And then she woke up again and went back to sleep. And I was like, oh God. So she kept waking me up and that was enough to like, get me frazzled so I didn't sleep well. Oh my God. But yeah, so that's why I'm yawning now. I'm sorry. I've got you yawning now too. I'm in a new spot. I'm actually visiting my mom in Chicago. Thus the new spotness of it all. Yes. The truce was extended. We knew that about a day or two ago, that they were extending it 2 days. And the talk now is, Qatar at least was saying they wanted to see if they could extend it further, but I'm not convinced that Israel can only go so far with this extension. From their perspective, they've got to take Hamas out of power. So I could try. I'll try to go to bed early. Thank you. Oh my God. No, she's a lovely dog, but sometimes she just like, oh my God. And I told you she likes to sleep with me, and I'm in a small bed, which is driving me nuts. But also, she decided when she was getting restless and couldn't sleep, I could tell because like all of a sudden at one point she like laid her paws and her head across me on my legs, which she never does. When she does that, she's feeling needy or something. So that was weird to start with. So then she came up and I was like sleeping like this. And she came up right here in my arm, did a circle and laid down, which was very sweet, except that it meant you're sitting like this. And now you can't move your arm because the damn dog is in here. And of course, if you don't have a dog, it should, she's almost 14. If you don't have a dog, the answer is obviously easy. Just move her. If you have a dog, you feel guilty. It's hard to explain why. You just feel guilty and it's ridiculous. So I felt guilty and I let her like do this to me for a while until I was like, I can't sleep like this. But anyway, it was too funny. It's and cats. I know cats are like dive bomb you or something from up above. I remember friends telling me that. You move to the couch. Exactly. Exactly. I may do a recap because the show wasn't very long too. I'm sorry, guys. I was just saying my dog had me up last night. I may do a recap today because because my show isn't terribly long today. There wasn't a ton of news. She should be fine. She doesn't need a checkup. We go to the vet every summer. She's fine. She just, she's just herself. But she's 14, what are you going to do at this point? But she's fine. Right. We are the Sasha News Network. What else? Well, that's a good. Now, Greg made a good point too. Actually, good point. Greg said, if you move to the couch, Sasha will move to the couch. That is absolutely true. She follows me everywhere. She would absolutely go to the couch if I went there. And then it would be worse because the couch is even smaller than the bed. Now, Chris brought up a story that I did see right as I was coming on. I wasn't able to grab it because it was about 5 minutes before the show. Iran cyber attacked or Iranian groups, right? So it's one of those where we know it was Iran, but was it Iranian students? Ha ha ha. Cyber attacked the Pittsburgh water supply. Once they reset the programmer, it read, "You've been hacked." I think Iran, I'd say groups just because they always like to be, it's like the groups in the Middle East attacking the American troops. They're Iranian affiliated groups, right? I think Iran is in a really dangerous situation here. And they're playing with fire. I doubt these Iranian hackers did this without the government's approval. What worries me is, and I told you, anybody who watched my Ukraine shows knows this, I think Biden's done a great job with Ukraine. I also think Biden has done one thing that was terrible with Ukraine, which is that he's afraid of Vladimir Putin. And because he's afraid of Putin, he never gave Ukraine the help it needed because he didn't want to anger Putin, right? And this kind of, World War III, this kind of crazy. We're not having World War III with Russia because Russia is just as afraid of World War III as we are. Because, right, World War III, we all die. Guess who else dies? They all die, too. The Russians know it. I mean, they don't want World War III any more than we do. And my concern with the Middle East was that, thank you, Janan, that the same thing would happen. That Iran and others would look and go, Biden's too afraid. He's not going to want war, right? He's not going to want to get into a war with us. Let's do what the Russians do. Let's just kind of poke him and poke him and poke him because he's not going to want to go to war. And I fear that that's what we're seeing now from Iran. In lots of different ways, the Houthis sending the cruise missiles, this hack attack. Biden won't respond appropriately because he's too afraid of getting into a fight with Iran. And honestly, the appropriate response would be to hack an Iranian water supply or maybe bigger, Tehran's water supply, and say, do it again. And next time we bomb some water supply and say, we're doing it Israel style. You hit us once, we're hitting you 10 times. Let's see. Is he hitting them? I doubt we're going to do anything back, but let's see. I hope so. Oh, you mean this is exactly what's happening is what I was describing. Yeah, that's my fear. And I get it. I mean, there's an aspect that is correct. You shouldn't look for war. You should try to avoid wars. War with Iran, lots of things could happen bad. They could attack Israel, lots of things, right? It could drag Russia in, sure. But you can't let people push you around. And Russia pushed us around. And by the way, Ukraine could lose this war because Russia pushed us around. I mean, or at the very least, Ukraine could lose the land that they've already lost and never get it back because Russia pushed us around and we got scared and we never helped Ukraine the way we needed to. We pulled punches and it affected the war effort. And I'm a little afraid we're going to do the same thing. And if it really gets bad, watch Biden not help Israel as much as well as it needs to. That's the other thing. I saw the kidnapped girl come home, but did she have her dog with her in captivity in Israel? There was a really cute little girl that had her little fluffy dog with her that was released as a hostage from Hamas, but she didn't have the dog with her, did she? I would have thought they would have killed the dog. They stole her dog too? Get out. Thank you, Super Hornet. Did they take her dog? Wow. Oh, that's just crazy. I'm surprised they didn't kill it though. I mean, I'm glad she was able to keep the dog alive. I'm really sick because a dog, imagine a dog having to eat, a dog having to pee, a dog getting bored. They kidnapped her and her dog. I mean, in a way, it may have helped her having the dog with her, ironically. You know what I mean? I'd be afraid of my dog getting hurt, but for her, it might have helped her that the dog was there. But Jesus Christ. Wow. Oh, that's interesting. You sure about that? Put an egg on it. Says China has publicly stated they are backing Iran in the event Iran goes to war. I have a hard time believing that. China can't afford war right now either with the way their economy's going. And China's trying to build up in order to be able to attack, Taiwan in the next 4 years or whenever it is. I have a very hard time believing China would go to war over it. I don't believe it. I mean, maybe they said it. I have a hard time believing they said it, but also I have a very hard time believing they'd go to war. Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate the skeletons. But I have a very hard, even if it's true, I mean, I don't disbelieve you, but you know what I'm saying. But I wonder if the report is true. I really doubt that China would go to war over Iran. I mean, that sounds crazy. 10-month-old with Islamic Jihad. I mean, possibly. Still Hamas's fault. Israel's saying it's Hamas's fault. Let them get the baby. I still think they're holding a 10-month-old. I mean, seriously, how just effed up can you be? That's just, it's really screwed up. That's what I mean. Taiwan's the only thing China wants right now. Jeremy says he's right. That's exactly it. They're not going to screw it up by going to war in the Middle East and losing troops and who knows what happens. And yeah, no way. Storm in Crimea, damage to electricity and possibly defenses. Good. I mean, because Crimea is controlled by the Russians. So any damage the storm can do, all the better, And yeah, who knows about the border being guarded? I mean, I'm not a big conspiracy theory guy, generally speaking. So I think Netanyahu screwed up, and I think their intelligence screwed up royally when it came to this Hamas attack on Israel. I think that's the most likely scenario, that they just supremely screwed up, but it's not an acceptable screwing up. I mean, I don't like Netanyahu anyway. Can America realistically support Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan all at once? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, clearly, Ukraine's become its own problem. The thing with Taiwan is, Taiwan and Israel, I guess it partially depends what. My suspicion it would be a strain. Meaning, I don't know what kind of war, like what kind of aid we would give Israel if things get worse. I also don't know what they would need from us. And I also don't know exactly how the war over Taiwan would be fought. I know everyone says for obvious reasons it would be much different than Ukraine because Taiwan is an island, right? And China's kind of nearby. So it's not the same as fighting a ground war in Ukraine. And by the way, we'd be a party to the war. So we'd be using our ships, and we're not using our ships. We'd be using our planes. We're not using our planes in Ukraine, right? So you got a lot of that stuff that would be available using our cruise missiles. So I don't know enough. I suspect it would put a strain on us, but I don't know. And again, Israel, it depends what we really need to give Israel and how much help they would need from us. Well, if Iran attacks them or Hezbollah attacks, then maybe they do need more help from us, right? Who knows? My suspicion is we don't want all three wars happening at once. That would be the assumption, we have rules in war. What is? Anything else, guys? Israel has internet? Yes. What about that? Thank you, Jeremy, for the gift. What else? We've got pizza coming hopefully any minute now. We ordered, like I said, pizza, Chicago pizza. My thoughts on the UN. Thank you. Cute to the Kiwi. I think you're going to have to accompany that by a gift next time. Thank you, Janice and Joe. Oh, that's cute. I don't think I've seen the flowers before. Those were cute, Joe. Thank you, Janice. That was funny. I don't think I've seen that. That was cute. What else, guys? Thank you, Flower Lady. Always a lovely gift. I hear you, dog. What do you want from me? I don't know. You want to play? Probably. I know. She may have to go out soon, too. Sasha's, my dog's giving me that noise it's either I want to play or I have to go out and pee. So be aware. There's always that chance that I'm going to end the show it's already been an hour and 15 minutes, but it may be abrupt. We'll see what happens. Yeah, exactly. Flower Lady gets to say the UN thing because she gave a gift. So that's okay. You can taunt me about the UN. Anyway. All right, guys. I'm thinking we call it quits maybe. I'll do a quick recap. We haven't done the recap in a few days. It's a shorter list. I'll do it. Oops, this is yesterday's. I'm trying to find today's. I mixed it up. Hold on. Oh, here it is. Okay. I had all my news. Wait, is this it? No. What did I do with it? Hang on. Here it is. Okay. I had yesterday's news and today's news mixed up together. Here we go. All right. I'll do the quick recap of the stories we covered today. We got about an inch of snow. It was enough to be cute. I mean, the ground's white, which is nice. Not going to tell you where we're getting the pizza from because that helps to locate us. There are a bunch of small, every town in the Chicago area has like 5, 6, 7 pizzerias. I mean, there's so many, and they're all wonderful. It's crazy. All right, Ukraine. We started with day 640 of Putin's 3-day special military operation. Ukrainian intelligence chief Budanov's wife was poisoned. Obviously, we believe Russia. The British Ministry of Defense says Russian forces have made small advances towards Avdiivka in recent days, but it's like, very small. Still big for them because they haven't had any advances lately, but it's still very small. So it's not like Russia's taking the town anytime soon yet. 75% of Russians in a new poll support the war. Finland is going to close its entire border with Russia for the next 2 weeks because Russia keeps taking refugees from Syria, Somalia, and somewhere else and throwing them at the Finnish border just to upset the Finns because they're pissed at Finland for joining NATO, and the Russians are petty. Iran has finalized agreements for the delivery of Russian Su-35 fighter jets and Mi-28 attack helicopters. Russia's oil trade with India is facing an obstacle because they can't figure out how to pay for the oil because of all the dollar sanctions. So that's nice. And it's also hurting Russia's trade with China, Africa, and other areas. Pro-Kremlin circles are sharing a fake video claiming to be a BBC broadcast, but it's not, that says that Ukraine has provided the majority of the weapons to Hamas. Now, what's interesting about that is it means that the Russians are, I didn't think about this earlier, the Russians are afraid of Israel getting closer to Ukraine now, and they're trying to stop that. The Israel news. Today is the 5th day of the pause. There's a 2-day extension as well happening soon. Last round of hostages were released today. No Americans. There was a 12-year-old released who said that every time a child cried, they would threaten the child with a gun to shut up. There's talk of a longer-term ceasefire with all the hostages being released, but that's just talk at this point. No real evidence of that happening. Biden administration, a senior official, it looks like, from the Biden official came out, I hear you, just wait, came out and said that they do not want Israel attacking into southern Gaza once the ceasefire ends, unless Israel figures out a better way to protect civilians. Pro-Palestinian protesters protested outside the funeral of First Lady Rosalind Carter that was held today in Georgia. I did a little update on U.S. humanitarian aid. There's a lot of U.S. military aid U.S. humanitarian aid coming into Gaza via U.S. military. Hamas has invited Elon Musk to visit Gaza, and Musk endorsed Pizzagate, which is a crazy conspiracy theory that helped lead to QAnon, and Elon Musk endorsed it today and lost even more advertisers as a result of it. Go Elon. All right, I'm going to go. We're not going to do Discord tonight only because, like I said, we've got pizza coming and I've got to do a couple videos for TikTok as well. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. So thank you for the gifts. Thank you for joining us. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern. Make sure to follow me on TikTok and YouTube. Maybe hit the like button one more time before we go. And otherwise, come back tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern time. That's 6 o'clock New York City or Washington, D.C. time. Okay? All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you joining. We will see you all tomorrow night again. Thank you. Bye-bye.